Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to um, talk a little bit about this project that you have to do this week. It's called the perspective assignment. If you talk to some of the second years, they might call it the car assignment because you have to photograph cars basically. I'm actually not going to talk so much about the specific steps. I'm just going to walk you through the photos that you have to take for this assignment. There's 5 photographs that you have to take, and these each of the 5 shots require you to use 3 different focal lengths. And I know I said 5 shots, but you'll see what I mean when you go through the steps. But you need a lens that will open up to wide angle. So either you can use a prime lens that's wide angle, like 20 millimeter or 16 millimeter, something like that. Or you can just use a zoom lens and that goes as wide as, say, like again, 16, 20, 24. For example, in photo loans, we have a lens that is a 24 to 105. That would be a good lens to use for this assignment because it's got the wide angle 24 and it's also got the 50 mil in that range. And then for the telephoto shot, you can use the 105. Or you can sign out a telephoto lens. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So when you look at the assignment online, you'll also notice that on the page 2, I've got some examples, and I just want to show you how I got those shots. And we're going to use a different car. We're going to go in the parking lot at Fanshawe College, and it was a really windy day that day, so we're just going to do a voiceover instead of using the audio from the actual video footage. And that's it. So let's watch that video now.
So there I am in the parking lot just behind C building, and there's J building, and there's a residence there. I did this on the weekend, so there's not a lot of traffic, so I feel fairly safe doing this in the parking lot. And you'll notice kind of where I'm standing. From my point of view, I can see the one side of the car and I can see the front of the car. And that's a pretty good position to be in. That's kind of what I want you, where I want you to be when you take your photos, being able to see the front and the side. So my first shot is with the wide angle lens, or the widest focal length I can get with my lens. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as close to the car as possible, and I'm trying to fill my frame with the car. I want to get as close to the car as I can, fill the frame up as much as possible, but still have the entire car in the shot. So I just want to get as close as I can and still have the car in the shot, and that'll be exposure number 1. And then I'm going to set my lens to about 50 millimeter, normal for the camera that I'm using. If you have a crop sensor camera, that might be 35 millimeter, 50 mil for full frame sensor, 35 for a crop sensor. And what I'm going to do is just back up until once again I can see the entire car in my viewfinder. So I'm just backing up a little bit. And finally I'm there, and I'm just going to go ahead and take my shot. And that will be shot number 2. So there it is again from far away. I'm taking the first shot up close to the car. I switch to 50 millimeter or normal. For some of you that might be 35. And I just keep backing up until once again the car fills my viewfinder, and I go ahead and take shot number 2. So for shot number 3, I'm going to switch lenses. So I'm going to take this lens off and I'm going to put on my telephoto lens. For some of you, if you've got the 24 to 105, for example, then you can just zoom in to 105 and that'll be fine. But I'm going to switch lenses because my lens only went up to 70 and I just want something a little bit more exaggerated. So I'm going to use the 70 to 200, and I'm going to set this lens to 150, and it could be, I could set it to 100, I could set it to 200 doesn't matter. And when I look through the viewfinder, the car doesn't even fit in the frame. So I'm really going to have to back up really far for this shot. And I'm going to back up until once again the car fills my viewfinder. So look how many steps I've got to take. I got to go pretty far back there before I can finally get that car to fit in my viewfinder. Here you can really see how far away I am from the car. There you have it. That is exposure number 3. And just double checking there, make sure the car is filling my frame. So at this point, we've got photograph number 1, we've got photograph number 2, and we've got photograph number 3. For these last 2 shots, I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to move. I'm going to take off this lens, and I'm putting on my zoom. Again, for you guys, that might mean putting on your normal or putting on your wide angle. So I'm putting the zoom lens on, and I'm going to set this lens to 50 millimeter because that's what I used for shot number 2. My medium, my normal focal length, I'm just going to go ahead and take that shot, and this will be photograph number 4. And when I look to the viewfinder, the car is going to be really small, and that's okay. That's what we expect to see. So now I'm going to set my lens to go as wide as possible, and this will be my shot number 5. And again, I'm going to stay at this position really far from the car and go ahead and take that shot. And now the car is going to be even smaller within my viewfinder, but I'm just going to go ahead and take the shot. And there you go. So those are the 5 photographs that you need for this project. So the first one is up close with a wide angle lens. Your second one is about 10 or 15 feet away with a normal lens. And then your third shot is taken with a telephoto lens much further away. And from that same spot, you'll take your last 2 photographs with the wide angle and the normal lens, and that's it. Put your lenses away and get those pictures onto your computer. And hopefully what you'll get are 5 pictures that look something like these shots right here.
Well, there you go. Hopefully that made sense. That's how you need to capture the 5 different shots that you need for this project. So we're not quite done yet. The next step is to bring those 5 images into either Photoshop or bring them into Lightroom. So I'm just going to walk you through those steps.
Okay, so here I've got the 5 images that I brought into the computer from the camera. Now, first thing you're going to notice when you look at these pictures is they're not the same car shots that were in the previous video. No worries. These were shot a couple years ago, but I'm just going to use these to show you the steps of what I want you to do in Lightroom. And I'm using these ones just because they were on my computer already there, so I thought I would use them. So there's our 5 shots. So the first one is the wide angle, the normal, and the telephoto, then normal lens from far away, and wide angle lens from far away. So one thing I'm going to do before things get confusing here, so I'm just going to go ahead and change the name of these files to match the lens. And you can if you don't want to say normal, you can say the actual focal length that you used, but for me, I'm just going to say tele. But like I said, you could type in 100 millimeter or whatever you want in there. This one is the normal. Oops, hang on there. I should take a course on how to use computers. Normal. But this was the normal from far away. So I'm just going to write that and just want to double check. Yeah. So this is wide from far away. So there you go. I've renamed all these files to match the focal length that was used. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to Lightroom, I'm going to go and click on import, and we are going to just drag these onto Lightroom. Boom. And there's our 5 images, and I'm going to go down here and just click on import. And there's our 5 photos in Lightroom. I'm just going to click on image number 4 here, which was our normal taken from far away. So I'm going to go here to the develop module. I'm going to grab the crop tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and crop this car like so. And I'm just going to do that. And what I'm trying to do is get this to look as similar as I can. I'm going to look at my telephoto shot down here, and I'm going to try to mimic that as much as possible. So there you go. I've cropped it. I'm just going to hit return, and see how pixelated it becomes. Don't worry about it. That's not a problem. We're not really concerned with that. We're more concerned with how the perspective of the image. So we're going to do exactly the same thing with the wide angle shot. So this was the wide angle lens from far away. I'm going to click on the crop tool. This time I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to hold the option key. And when I do that, this allows me to crop towards the center. Lightroom tip for you there. And again, I'm just going to try to get that to look like the telephoto shot. So you can see there's the telephoto shot right there, and I tried to crop those as close as possible to matching that sort of crop, and I think that's close enough. Oh, and one more thing we should do as well is we're going to need to export these. So export them and just save them as JPEGs. I don't really care what size they are, and just submit those into your Dropbox.
Well, there you have it, guys. You've got the 5 images, and you've got the last 2 cropped. Now, the last step is just to answer the questions on the question sheet. And this is a PDF. I need you to download it and just answer the questions that I've got for you. I've only got 2 questions. The first one is, what caused that change in perspective? So that's what I need for question number 1. And for question number 2, I just need you to explain it. So how did you come up with that answer? How can you logically explain to someone why or how you got to the answer or the conclusion that you came to after doing this little assignment? So just put it in your own words, just kind of explain it. This is what you observed. And, don't write a novel. Try to keep it kind of short and concise. Think before you write. Anyways, that's about as much help as I want to give you for assignment number 2, your second assignment for this year, but your assignment for week 7. As always, if you have any questions, please send me an email. Come and see me, visit me in my office if you have any questions about this project. And don't forget, if you're going to do it in the parking lot at Fanshawe College, make sure you think about keeping yourself safe out there. We do have vests, orange vests that you can wear. They'll go over just about, they're really big, one size fits all, and they're Velcro, and just make you a little bit more visible out there in the parking lot. Wouldn't want anyone to get hit by a car. Some of these drivers out there, they're so focused on looking for a parking spot, they might not necessarily see you out there crouched down taking photos. Anyways, good luck.